Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon to all the viewers and audience, and welcome to the today's Top Talk with the former Vice President, Dr. Chien-Jen Chen from the Republic of China, or ROC.
Yes. And hello, everyone. It is really my pleasure and honor to join you and to share with you the economic development and changes in work style post COVID-19.
Thank you, Dr. Chen, for your short introduction. My name is Dato Latif. Just call me Dato Latif. I am the Director General of the Malaysia Productivity Corporation. So I bid a very big welcome to everyone to this session, especially to our speaker here, Dr. Chien. Now, Dr. Chien, I could see that you have a very colorful career, in your profession. You were once the Vice President of ROC, Taiwan, and you were also once the Health Minister. And reading from your profile, you were very successful in managing the SARS epidemic that hit Taiwan. When you were the Minister of Health from the year 2003 to 2005. Despite Taiwan is a non-member, in the World Health Organization. Congratulations, for your success. Now, without much ado, the topic, for your presentation here will be on economic development and changes in work styles post-COVID-19. Now, I know you have prepared, some material, Dr. Chien. Now, without much ado, I would like to call you to, make your presentation. Please, Dr. Chien.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. It is really my pleasure and honor to give a presentation on this economic development and changes in work style post-COVID-19 next. And COVID-19 pandemic has affected almost all the countries in the world. And by August the 24th, there's more than 23 million confirmed cases and more than 800,000 deaths in the whole world. However, in Taiwan, with a population of 23 million people, we have 487 confirmed cases, and most of them were imported cases and only 7 deaths. So our case mortality rate is 1.4%, and with only 11 without identifiable infection source. Next slide, please. And compare this COVID-19 instance and mortality rate per 100,000 population in the world. In the world, the instance rate per 100,000 is 308, and mortality rate is 11. And for Taiwan, the instance rate is only 2.1, and the mortality rate is 0.3. So if we rank this instance rate, and Taiwan is ranked as the 206 among 213 countries. In other words, our instance rate of COVID-19 is quite low. Next slide, please. And in Taiwan, we started our COVID containment quite early. Our model have 4 major elements. That's the prudent action, rapid response, early deployment, and transparency. Next. And our strategies basically are fourfold. That's the border control, contact tracing, home quarantine, and precision screening. In Taiwan, we never done any lockdown in Taiwan and no mass screening. We have a very stringent border control of inbound passengers from epidemic area, and we carry out in-depth contact tracing of close contacts of confirmed cases. And any confirmed cases or inbound passenger are subjected to 14-day home isolation and quarantine with care and support services. And we do precision or targeted screening of those who have symptoms and signs compatible to COVID-19. And we create a virtual cycle, and more people in Taiwan have trust in our central epidemic control center, and more people are willing to comply with the epidemic control guidance. So I consider that solidarity and good citizenship are the key for the successful containment of COVID-19 in Taiwan. Next. And this slide shows that inbound traveler and close contact they are subject to home quarantine and isolation. And we use electronic security monitoring system to track the location and health status of all these people. Next. And as you can see here, we have isolated around 10,000 people in Taiwan and home quarantined 226,000 people with self-management around 58,000. So in total, a lot of people have been isolated and quarantined. And however, most of them comply with our guidance very well. Only 800 people, they have some violation and got a penalty. In other words, our home quarantine and self-health management program are quite successful. Next. And according to this Bloomberg Economics ranking of COVID-19 control in 75 emerging and frontier economics. Next. You can see here, the ranking was based on confirmed deaths from COVID-19 and also the level of activity compared with pre-virus normal. And the third is a policy space available to counter the damage. And Taiwan was ranked as the #1 among the 75 emerging frontier economies. Next slide, please. And there's also an assessment of response to COVID-19 in 49 countries published by Newsweek Japan on July 21st. And they do this kind of assessment based on epidemic damage, that's the cumulative confirmed cases per 10,000 population, and confirmed cases increasing from June 16 to June 30th, and also the case mortality rate. And they also rank according to this economic damage, that's a GDP lost. Next slide, please. And Taiwan was ranked as the #1 among the 49 countries as well, and followed by Malaysia, Hong Kong, Thailand, China, and so forth. Next slide, please. However, we still have a lot of challenges of COVID-19 in near future. Taiwan has low infection rate and low herd immunity, and first wave of COVID-19 pandemic still persists globally, and global economic recession is very serious. So border reopening may increase the number of imported cases. And in the coming winter, I think that a seasonal flu may increase the difficulty in the differential diagnosis of and the clinical management of COVID-19. Next slide. And I would like to show you there's an impact of COVID-19 on world stock market. As you can see that for US S&P 500, Japan Nikkei, USA Dow Jones, and UK FTSE 100, you can see that there's a very consistent decrease in this stock market, ranging from 4% to 19%, and only that's the Nasdaq and biotech index in the United States is increasing of 15%. And next slide, please. As in Taiwan, as you can see that there's also a significant impact of COVID-19 on Taiwan's stock market. The TAIEX, we can see from the January to July, and there's around a 6% increase. And but the increase basically resulted from this biotech. Taiwan biotech index increased 14%, and computer and peripheral product increased around 10%, and electronic components increased around 6%. So basically in Taiwan, a lot of industry will have impact damaged by COVID-19. But this biotech and computer and peripherals, they are doing better. Next slide, please. And COVID-19 indeed has a significant impact on our industry. I think that in the future, we need our new world should be a kind of a digital world. And COVID-19 accelerates the digital transformation, and online consumption in the whole world increased 1.84. It's an increase around 80%. And there's a lot of industry shocked by this COVID-19, including the transportation. Aviation decreased 95%, tourism decreased 90%. I mean, there's for hotel occupation and physical entertainment decreased 80%, physical retail decreased 70%, food and beverage decreased 30%. however, there are some industries they get this push, have a good momentum for the growth. That's including the healthcare and epidemic prevention, and also otaku economy. Next slide, please. And in Taiwan, we consider that post-COVID-19, for this economic development, we have different kind of strategy. We are going to focus on 7 aspects. The first one is the big health, including the e-health, precision medicine, epidemic prevention technology, health promotion, service, smart healthcare, smart hospital, and healthcare regulatory sandbox. And also that a zero-touch economy, flexibility of labor market, and also for our innovation entrepreneurship center promotion and data-driven service, supply chain resilience, and also there's a digital capital market. So we try to improve Taiwan's economic on these 7 aspects. Next slide, please. And we already use this big data and artificial intelligence to help us to do epidemic prevention program. This including this quarantine system entry, home quarantine tracking system, and digital fencing tracking system, and so forth. Next slide, please. So in this coming future, I think that there are new technologies which can be applied for the strategic epidemic prevention. This including this, we have to develop this good diagnostic and therapy, and also we have to engage in new technology in disinfection, such as the antiviral mask, disinfectants, air filters, health monitor, and sputum disposal, as well as environmental sanitation. Of course, in this healthcare, there should be some transformation, such as the healthcare robots, clinical algorithm, PPE, personal protection equipment, artificial core stimulation device, and 3D printing devices, and so forth. And also, in the future, I think that telemedicine is also very important. This including the distant monitoring of patients' status and distant consultation, wearable sensor, physiological monitoring, digital stethoscope, and health chatbot, and also 5G communication. Next slide, please. And of course, in this for the strategic epidemic prevention, we can apply this new technology for this epidemic prevention. This including the environmental health, smart city, manufacturing, industry, and individual need. I won't go to the detail. I will talk about some of them later. Next slide, please. And in the future, I think that we are going to shift from one size for all medicine to stratified medicine, and then lead to precision medicine. So in the future, I consider post-COVID-19 precision medicine is a focus for us to develop in our technology industry. Next slide, please. And previously, we always focus on so-called precision therapy on the right-hand side, but I think that in the future, we have to move to early diagnosis and also the prevention. And this is not only for COVID-19, it's also for all kinds of human diseases. Next slide, please. And as you can see here, this is the global precision healthcare market. It will increase very rapidly from 2020 at the middle up to 2025. And this including this precision medicine diagnosis, and also the therapeutics, as well as the personal nutrition and wellness. So in the future, I think that the healthcare industry will become more and more important. Next slide, please. And with regard to this healthcare industry, IoT physiological monitoring consumer products are definitely important. I won't get into the detail, but there are more and more consumer products for IoT physiological monitoring. And next. And we also are going to face a kind of a circumstance that is a so-called customized smart home and health and self-monitoring. This including the safer automobile, and even at home, and we can do certain kind of test at home in our bedroom and in the kitchen. We can take care of the food quality and also have better storage of the food. And in the bedroom, we can do this on mental health and also all kinds of medication, compliance, and so forth. So in the future, and more telecare will proceed and come out and to become a very important. Next slide, please. And we can apply artificial intelligence in healthcare for the diagnosis and also for robot assisted surgery, and develop a new medicine with this artificial intelligence. And we can do this medical data mining and management, and also the streamlining this patient experience and so forth. Next slide, please. And so there will be, in the coming future, there will be new normal work style after this COVID-19 pandemic. However, this new style basically, we are still using it now, and that's social distancing, personal hygiene, land-based gathering, and person flow control, and cleaning and disinfection, and so forth. Next slide, please. So in the future, I would like to share with you that in the future, then our economy might change, and that's a so-called the zero-touch economy and zero-distance innovation, and it based on ICT and artificial intelligence, and we have to consider about the 3C development. And with regard to the B2B industry, automation, real-time analysis, online production, and also R&D innovation, digitization, data integration, and precision marketing are very important in the future. That's for the B2B industry. With regard to the B2C industry, e-commerce, delivery services, streaming, a mobile device, online video, mobile payment, as well as online learning are becoming more and more important and more popular. But when we are trying to apply ICT and AI to these kind of new industries, there are three important aspects we have to pay attention. One is this collaboration. And with regard to the collaboration, it means that we can work from anywhere, not only working from home. And also, online has to merge with offline, especially for the retail or for other kind of physical entertainment and so forth. And with that, another important thing is the cybersecurity. And we have to use the cybersecurity to assure a resilient supply chain and also a reliable artificial intelligence. And with regard to the creativity, well, that's a so-called zero-touch manufacturing. We use the more automation and more so-called industrial 4.0 procedures and so forth. And we have to use a lot of zero-distance services to improve our economy. So collaboration, cybersecurity, and creative, these 3C is considered very important. Next slide, please. And this slide shows that we can, in the future, we can work from anywhere, and we have online meeting, and we have online B2B marketplace, and also our online exhibition. So for this, the computer, for the ICT devices will become more and more important. Next slide, please. And in our new working environment, I believe that the body temperature monitoring may become a routine, and also for the disinfection robot, and also for this location tracking, and we can also use APP to track our working environment and to collaborate with our colleagues at the office. Next slide, please. And in the future, I think that in the education industry, online learning and distance education will become more and more important. And also for that's an art exhibition or any kind of industry exhibition and I think that online exhibition will become more and more popular too. Next slide, please. And Post-COVID-19, I think some new normal will be this online video streaming service, and also that indoor exercise and somatosensory game will become quite popular, and people will like to engage in this kind of indoor activities. In addition to that, otaku economy, that's online shopping, will become important, very important industry. This including the food delivery and e-commerce and online game. So the live stream and streamers will become a new industry with regard to this customers choice. Next slide, please. So I think that in the coming future after the post-COVID-19, we definitely have to create resilience and a new economy. And I myself consider that artificial intelligence will be involved and will become a very important component on that. This is not only for R&D, production, and manufacturing. It's also important for the distribution, marketing, and retail. And then to the consumer side is the consumer services and consumer experience. All these industries can be improved by artificial intelligence. For instance, for there's manufacturing, smart R&D, smart surveillance, and order forecasting, optimized delivery, automated warehousing, and intelligence production scheduling. They are all very important in the future when we use more and more automation or semi-automation in this manufacturing. With regard to the distribution, I think there's a pedestrian tracking, robots, the scan, or natural language processing and semantic analysis are important. And this will be increased. That's online retails and so forth. And also for offline merged online services and so forth. And with regard to the consumer services and consumer experience, robot consumer service, recommendation engines, message push, and after-sale service recommendation, e-payment, virtual assistance, they are all very important. So I believe that post-COVID-19, some industry will get on the momentum, and this through this an ICT and AI involvement. But some traditional industry have to have some kind of a transformation in order to make their industry have a better development. Next slide, please. So with that, I would like to conclude my talk and entertain you with some questions. So let us love one another and help each other. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chien. That has been a very insightful presentation. And I'm also, interested to see, your far-sightedness, what to expect, in the years to come, and what will be, the kind of situation that, we need to go through. And you mentioned about the need to really leverage on this digital technology. That's the way to move forward. Now, we are all aware that this COVID-19 pandemic has affected, all of us, right? No one is spared.
Sure.
And this really called, everyone to really review, the way that we do things, to ensure that, business will still grow, the economy will still grow, and we have to find, other options. And we will have to consider what other alternatives. And that would definitely require us to look at the way that we have been working, especially our work style, and also the kind of technology that we should be leveraging on. Now, Dr. Chen, I do have some questions, but before that, I would like to welcome viewers. If they have any question for Dr. Chien, please post, your questions in the live chat, and I will read the questions, to our speaker here. Now, let me just start it first, Dr. Chien.
Yeah.
For some sectors which have been particularly hit, very hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. For example, in a sector such as tourism, leisure, aviation, and transportation, food and beverages, and even retail, do you see any silver lining for them? Meaning to say, are there going to be things which are going to be, something promising, despite with all these challenges we are in?
Yeah, basically, I think that all these industries are very important, and I just want to mention some of the example for the tourism. Although we have very severe damage in international tourism, but in Taiwan, in the tourism in Taiwan basically are quite active, and the reason for that is in Taiwan we consider the containment of COVID-19 spread is quite successful. So people, they are not worried about this kind of that's a so-called that's a domestic transmission, local transmission of the virus. This is one thing. So basically, in Taiwan, the domestic tourism is quite good. And with regard to that, we also consider about this travel bubbles, and we can have expand our tourism or transportation or aviation to some other countries with the similar better control of the COVID-19. So we can do that too. And with regard to the food and beverage, I consider that more and more in the future, there will be so-called Food Panda or Uber Eats, this kind of food delivery or grocery delivery will become more and more important. And some of these restaurants, they even provide completely carry out services and so forth. And with retail, I think that online merge with offline retail may become new normal. So for these industries, I consider that if there's some kind of transformation or some kind of transition from only physical care services may move to also online services, and then some sectors may have a better development.
Thank you for your response, Dr. Chien. Yes, in every crisis, in every problem, there tend to be also blessing. And we could see that, with this pandemic, the way that, some of the businesses are really changing. All right.
Yeah.
That includes, I think, lifestyle of citizens. Now, if I can move on to the next question, Dr. Chien, developing a vaccine for COVID-19 seems to be something very daunting. Even if one can be developed, medical experts think that the antibodies don't remain active over the long term. How can we prepare for the future? I think with your experience as the health minister and the way that you address issues with this, the SARS situation at ROC, when you were the health minister, you could share some of your thoughts on this question.
Okay, good. During the SARS outbreak, because this epidemic period is so short, so it's too short to develop this vaccine. But for the COVID-19 vaccine development, currently it's going, I would say, smoothly. There are more than 130 companies that are developing a vaccine, and some of the vaccine companies, they already get into this human clinical trial phase 3. In other words, in this coming winter or maybe the coming spring, this vaccine will be available. I'm quite optimistic about this availability of the vaccine. But one thing I would like to emphasize is that we have to, that this vaccine has at a very reasonable price, and that everyone in the world, they have this opportunity to get this kind of the vaccine, and to show that the global health needs the solidarity. I think this is very important. And before we have this vaccine available, I think that one thing that is very important, that I assure you that there's home quarantine, contact tracing, and as well as this good personal hygiene, including this well-face mask, wash hands with soap frequently, and measure body temperatures, and stay at home when you are sick. I think all these kind of personal hygiene practice are very, very important. and keep social distancing and avoidance of large-scale gathering are also very important. And in Taiwan, we use this kind of procedures. We have a very good containment of this COVID-19. So I think that in all countries, as long as we can reduce the unnecessary social interaction and also practice good personal hygiene and home quarantine, I think that the situation, the pandemic situation, can be contained quite well before a vaccine was available. So in the future, I still consider that a very classical way of infectious disease control. I mean that's quarantine, disinfection, hygienic practice, and so forth, remain very important. But we have to accelerate our R&D in rapid diagnostic, antivirals, and these vaccines. And when vaccine was available, I really hope that everyone in the world can get a vaccine. Thank you very much.
Yes, Dr. Chen's very interesting reply that you have given. I think you talk about solidarity, that, we have to stand united, we have to work together, right? The world is a place, for all of us to really live together and address, many of the issues. Now, yes, vaccine, everyone's looking forward, it is important. But then, having the right kind of, standard operating procedure to ensure that, everyone is well taken care, and we can also ensure that this virus could be prevented from spreading. Now, if I can move on to the next question, what do you think policymakers should do right now to control the pandemic? Now we are talking about role of government. You mentioned earlier about personal hygiene and all that. Now it is about the government's role. What do you think about the government role to control the pandemic?
I think that in a vibrant democratic countries such as Malaysia, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, and so forth, I think that the government has to persuade their people to comply with this guidance for the COVID-19 containment. And this including this border control and home quarantine, contact tracing, and also that's keep social distancing and good personal hygiene and so forth. And government has to get this the authority and also get this trust from the public. And in Taiwan, our government, we established this central epidemic command center, and CCC assure that every people in Taiwan may have open access to any epidemic information. And they also provide an education program through this mass media, and every day they have this kind of briefing, so they provide correct news to all the peoples in Taiwan, and this can avoid any kind of attack of disinformation campaign. And more people they trust our Central Epidemic Command Center, and they comply to this regulation, the guidance, and the containment is getting better. So they will become a virtuous cycle. More and more people get the confidence of the government and comply to the guidance of the government. I think that all the government are doing their best now and try to let their citizens to follow the guidance. And I do consider this needs a very good authority, get this authority, and also they have to get this public trust. And in addition to that, the government has to provide this care and support services for those who were home quarantined, because they stay at home for 14 days and they are boring and they need some help, such as a meal delivery or grocery delivery or this garbage disposal and so forth. So government has to try to help those people who were home quarantined. I just mentioned that in Taiwan, we don't have lockdown, we don't have any kind of mass screening, but we have very stringent home quarantine and people comply. And this is the very, very important part. That all the people in Taiwan, I always say that we have 23 million unsung heroes in Taiwan because they comply to government guidance quite well. And I think that all the country can do that. And no doubt, all the policy makers has to try their best to convince their people. And for the time being, I consider more and more government in the world, they are doing better and better.
Yeah. So you need to have the public having trust in the government.
Yes,
The
sure.
kind of confidence need to be built. Now, with this situation that many countries are facing, you mentioned about the need to stay home, requirement to be quarantined and all that, which I think leads to the question that citizens are supposed to practice social distancing and also avoid group gatherings. Now, this lifestyle definitely will have impact, on society, because a lot of economic activities requires, human, movement here and there. Now, how can people cope with the economic implications of these social constraints? Can you share your thought on this, sir?
Okay. Yeah, I just mentioned about the situation in Taiwan. Because we don't have lockdown of any cities or townships and so forth, but we quarantined around 250,000 people. They lost their 14 days of liberty, but they assure 23 million people in Taiwan can engage in normal daily life. They go to school, go to work without any kind of prohibition. So economic basically was not too severely affected. If most of the people, they can work and then they can have social contact, have a necessary social contact, and the economic situation won't be damaged too much. So in Taiwan's model, home quarantine sacrifice the freedom of a small group of the people, and they guarantee all the rest of the people in Taiwan, they can live in the normal way. So the economic impact, the damage will be lessened. But I think that every country has its social cultural background and different kind of lifestyle and custom. So every country has to think about that, how can they urge the people to follow that distancing and avoidance of the group gathering. And if it's really necessary to have a group gathering, for instance, our children in Taiwan, they go to school. So when they go to school, they have to measure the body temperatures, wear mask, and wash hands frequently. And nobody got infection in Taiwan in the school. So our children are studying very happy in the school. So I think that if it's necessary to have the group gathering, we definitely have to practice very good personal hygiene, and then the infection can be stopped there. So that's I consider that, yes, social constraint did bring us some inconveniences, but we have to love ourselves to prevent from being infected, and also love others to prevent the spread out the virus to others. So this kind of one for all and all for one spirit is very important. This kind of good citizenship, I think, is essential for the containment of COVID-19. When we're considering about this and social distancing and avoidance of group gathering.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Chen. I like your view on sacrifice of the smaller group for the benefit and welfare of the larger society. This brings me to this question because you mentioned about the importance of solidarity. Now, in this no contact context, because no contact situation, what can be done to reinforce, is what you mentioned, solidarity and also harmony in society, right? Because there's no, social, interaction, physically and all that. So how can we reinforce that?
Okay, I can give you some examples. In Taiwan, we have this mass media help us to broadcasting all this government guidelines, and also encourage people to engage in personal contact without difference no physical contact, but has a frequent contact. We use this iPhone, we use this telephone, or any kind of remote contacting devices. And so in our hospital, we have a special device for each patient, a hospitalized patient. They can chat with their children, their friends, when they were on bed and in the hospital. So this kind of mobile phone or ICT technology is very important. And also at home, when there's no contact situation, we still can order food, grocery, and so forth. This is a so-called otaku economy, and I think that it's also a good way. And I think this to live in harmony without the direct contact, we definitely have to bear in mind that we have to have a very good affiliation for all the peoples. And when we stay at home for quarantine, basically, we are willing to sacrifice for others. And those who were not quarantined usually call them and give them support and also encourage them to stay at home. I think this kind of care and support services are definitely important. So in Taiwan, there's a local government engaged in a lot of efforts in this care and support that's on the services. So this is a very important aspect government can do.
Yeah. So definitely, I think in this situation of constraint, movement constraint, I think technology is the answer to address many of the issues that we are facing. Now, my next question, sir, the hard hit sectors that was mentioned earlier. I think this is just it's just the tip of the iceberg. Do you think that the worst of this situation has yet to come from the pandemic? What is your view, sir?
I think that if you look at this stock market in the world, since people are more and more familiar with this the containment of this COVID-19 and they know quite well how they can do. So if you look at that's on the stock market. The lowest part is around in this March and April and May, and after the June and July, it's getting better because on some of the lockdown city has been reopened and so forth. But after the reopen, although there's some increase in this COVID-19 patients, but I think that the increase, the acceleration has been decreased through the efforts of quarantine or through this screening and so forth. So I think that yes, that the worst economic fallout, I believe it's already passed, and now it's getting momentum to increase. Of course, this kind of momentum varies from different countries. For instance, in this South America and is also in South Asia, this economic fallout may last for some period of time. But in Europe and in North America, I think that the situation is getting better. So it varies country by country.
Yeah, is the if the infection curve starts to get flattening, I think that would be a good sign that economy will be recovering. So you have got a two kind of situation which is interrelated. Now, Dr. Chen, lifestyles are definitely changing. With the increases in remote work, social distancing, prohibitions on gathering, virtual meetings, e-commerce, and so on, do you think that the old normal can ever return? A lot of companies have also invested in technology and all that. So will the old normal make a comeback?
Well, I don't think that we are going to live in a so-called old normal way. I just mentioned about that since there's already a natural before that's a COVID-19, they already have this kind of increase in digital life. It's a transformation and transition. And the transition is not so rapid, but after the COVID-19, it increased very rapidly. So I think that in the future, more and more lifestyle will be changed by this development in ICT and also the digital devices, as well as this artificial intelligence. So I don't think that old normal is appropriate in the future because it's old. So we have to adopt a new one. A new one, as I believe the new normal will be better and also fit us more better. For instance, there's digital paying and this e-commerce, and all of these are becoming more and more popular. So COVID-19 just help us to accelerate the transition from old normal to new normal. Although even there's no COVID-19, this old normal will be changed anyway.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chien. Now I'm going to skip, two questions because the two questions that I have, has been answered with you, whether directly or indirectly, in your earlier responses. My next question, I'm looking at question of SMEs.
Okay.
So, as in any crisis, SMEs are the most vulnerable to the effects of this COVID-19. How should governments among the APO member countries help them through going through, these challenges that we are in at the moment?
Yeah, I totally agree with you that SME are the most vulnerable to the effect of COVID-19. And Taiwan government is also paying attention to this SME in Taiwan. And we adopted two methods. The first one is this financial relief. For instance, the taxi drivers, the vendors, and this food and grocery, they can apply for financial relief and have also can have a tax reduction, or they can postpone their interest payment to the bank and so forth. The government help them to pass this crisis, and this is one way to go to this through this SME and reimbursement and support them directly. And the second way is through the customers. So in Taiwan, we have so-called that's a stimulus voucher, economic stimulus voucher. Every citizen, including their wife, from other country, but with this residency, they can get this kind of stimulus voucher. And stimulus voucher as per person as 1,000 Taiwan dollars, new Taiwan dollars, and if I pay 1,000, and then I can get that's a 3,000 voucher. So basically, we try to encourage people to engage in this kind of spurring this consumption, and this kind of stimulus voucher can pay almost everything, including this transportation, vendors, and food, groceries, and everything. So it's quite convenient, and we hope that through this kind of effort, we can spur this the consumption in Taiwan. So in total, for this kind of financial relief and economic stimulus, we are going to invest 210 billion NT dollars. So we hope that this kind of effort can help less than a small and medium-sized enterprise. And we hope that the people will spend more money and have to become a good consumer and to spur our economy.
Yeah. So, Dr. Chen, I would like to bring you to the next question because many countries, some years back, we had this, financial crisis in the year 2008. What is your take on these major differences between, the global financial crisis of that year and also the current situation that we are in due to this COVID-19 pandemic?
I think that the financial crisis of 2008, it affected quite a relatively small proportion of this overall economies in the world, and majorly that's financial industry and banking and so forth. But for this, for instance, for the vendors, for this retail, the impact is not so significant. But this time, for the COVID-19, because of this very large scale lockdown and also a very significant reduction in international aviation and so forth, the tourism get a very big damage and so forth. I think this the current situation is much worse than this the financial crisis of 2008. So this time, all the country has to try their best to promote their economic growth. To boost domestic economic growth is the challenge. It's even more challenging compared to the situations in year 2008.
Right. You know, Dr. Chen, we are getting a number of questions, very interesting, from viewers. I think I would like to go on that because it is good to respond to what viewers, would like to have and also would like to get information, from your good self. Now, but since we have prepared, list of questions, I would just like to go to the last question that I have on my list before we go to the questions, provided by the viewers. Now, in the worst case scenario, this is my question on my 14th question on my list. For example, if the pandemic remains active for the next 2 years, what should APO member countries do to cushion their economies against the effects to survive and thrive?
Wow, this is really a very worst case scenario. I think that's the pandemic. From this epidemiologist point of view, I consider this pandemic might subside in coming spring, so it won't last for 2 years. But if it's remain active over the next 2 years, I think it will be a very difficult challenges to all our economies. And since that's for this international trade will be interrupted a lot. And I think there's and also some of the supply chain may be affected significantly. So all this APO member government had to consider how to make their own manufacturing industry become a more automatic, and also this supply chain not use only the single supply chain. Try to use this multiple supply chain, not put all the eggs in one basket, and not rely on one country to provide this supply of to maintain this supply chain. I think it's very important. And domestic economy development is also very essential. For Taiwan, we try to boost our domestic economy because we know that our international trade definitely will be damaged and will be affected. So domestic economic growth is very important. And if we want to promote that domestic economic growth, we have to try our best to contain COVID-19 in our own country. It means that we have to have very good contain procedures such as home quarantine, rapid test, and also there's good personal hygiene, social distancing, and so forth. So I really hope that it will last for 2 years. 1 year is definitely too much.
All right. Good, sir. It is something very comforting. Listening from someone who has got the experience handling this kind of pandemic. During your time when you were the health minister. Now, sir, I would like to go to the questions which are being posted by our viewers. I've got 6 questions. I hope we will have time, sir, to get you to respond to these questions. The first question is from Gi Ho Kim. Work style has changed dramatically, but still some companies believe working in the office is important. What is your take on this?
Well, yeah, I agree with this and Giho Kim that some company believe working in the office is important, especially if there's some work that needs face-to-face interaction. This definitely is very important. But I already mentioned that since nowadays this ICT technology has been developed very well, so we can even work at home together, like work from anywhere together, like we are working in the office. And with regard to this manufacturing, I just mentioned that more and more company in Taiwan, they are trying to shift from this shift to semi-automation or even completely automation. I think using this ICT, IoT, Internet of Things, and also use this Industrial 4.0 and automation, and we can avoid that too much so-called human dependent, manpower dependent manufacturing. And within this service sector, I think that we have to try to make this people used to this kind of so-called long distance working. And in Taiwan, some of the company, they are doing quite well. They don't urge that all these workers, their colleagues to come to the office. It really depends. But some are doing very well. And for the education, for example, in Taiwan, some of this e-learning, they are quite popular, and they can even provide an one-to-one education and so forth. So I don't think it's really so critical. That's my point of view.
Thank you, sir. In fact, in MPC now, I'm encouraging my officers, to work from anywhere. People have to office and all that, and I find that some of the officers are more productive because they are able to avoid traffic congestion, and with technology they can be contactable and they can join discussion at any time, right? Rather than you go the physical way. So, sir, my next the next question that we got here is from Hideyuki Nakayama. He's asking, some countries might be hit harder than any others. Any advice for those countries which are less developed?
Okay, I think that for those countries which are less developed, they might not have good accessibility to very updated ICT devices and also the digital devices. I think that for these less developed countries, they need to engage the transformation of these SMEs according to their own circumstance. And for these countries, still that COVID-19 containment methods are still can be very effective. And I just mentioned that as long as we can reduce unnecessary social contact and then practice good personal hygiene, and for those who close contacts of this confirmed cases, they have to stay at home. And if everybody can practice that, I think that they don't need to shut down their economy to a large proportion. So even in this less developed countries, I will encourage them to engage in COVID-19 containment more vigorously and ask this all citizens to collaborate, and this is good for themselves and also for others. So I think that containment of COVID-19 first, and then reduce the social unnecessary social contact and avoidance of large-scale gathering. I think that daily life still can be we still can live a very good daily life.
All right. Thank you, sir. The next question comes from Daniel Kim. He says digital transformation is being accelerated,
Yes.
but there are resistance still. Do you see how this will change the work landscape?
I think that it really depends on the resistance, and really depends on the mindset, and also depends on this availability of this kind of digital devices. And if this kind of digital devices may be provided in large scale at reasonable prices, and more company or industries, they will be more willing to engage in that. And this is, and then there's the mindset. Sometimes we say that in our office, all the 9 people have to come together to work together. But for instance, in some of the companies in Taiwan now, they scatter around because to avoid this an infection. They have 2 rows of the people. One comes from say 8 to 5. And another group come from the noon to 9 and so forth. And there's a very only overlapping of smaller parts of maybe 1 or 2 hour overlap. Otherwise, the 2 teams can work simultaneously, and it even more effective. Just as mentioned, it sometimes is even more effective. It really depends that there's the daily contact. If daily contact overlapping of the job is necessary, usually it takes only 1 to 2 hours. So if that's the situation, we can make this kind of arrangement. So, but I still consider that digital transformation can be more helpful.
Thank you, sir. Now, the next question comes from a person named Aditya Limarto. Employment rate is skyrocketing. It worries people. What kind of countermeasures is being taken in Taiwan?
Okay. Employment rate definitely is very important. And in Taiwan, some industries, such as this retail and this transportation, and also for the tourism, they have come across this kind of employment rate. And in Taiwan, we have 2 measures to help them. One is that we have financial relief. We help this kind of affected industry. We provide some financial assistance to them for them to pay their colleagues, not with a full scale of the salary, but at least they can live with this kind of financial assistance. That's a government role, is to provide financial assistance to the industry. I think the second way is that the industry has to change their practice. For instance, some restaurants or groceries in Taiwan, they separate their job into 2 parts. One is the so-called home delivery retail, and another part is physical retail. So they change it, and they don't send people out. They don't fire any people, but they ask people to engage to different kind of job specification. That's a delivery grocery, or that's a physical grocery, and so forth. So this needs some kind of thinking of this small SME to think of how can they have some novel transformation of their job, or separate their job into different parts, and still they can work quite well.
Yeah. So definitely, certain things that need to be transformed. We just have to change, the way that we do things, because things may not be the same anymore. Right? Agree with you, sir. If I can go to the next question here, this is from Zeng Wei Kwa. Greetings from Singapore. All right, Singaporean here. We got a Singaporean here. Face-to-face with clients is important for business in Asia. We started doing business through video calls but it is difficult to build the rapport. Any suggestion?
I think that I agree with Jen Wei core that it's difficult to build a good rapport if we use only this kind of video calls. But if that's the case, then you can arrange that. And I think one video call cannot equal to one face-to-face interaction. So more video call may be necessary. And another thing that's is also very important, that before the video call, you can share the topic or the information or the data you want to discuss with your client. And that's very important. If you just use this video call to have this kind of conversation without this data support, it will be very difficult to build up this rapport. So before the video call, please provide all this information necessary to for this kind of this video conference or video call. It's very important. Usually we do that because we provide more data, and sometimes people will say, "Oh, this is the data what I want," and they can tell you that I want some other kind of information. And before every data are available, then this kind of video calls it will be easier to build the rapport.
Sir, I think I would like to come to the last question. It is from the same person here, Zheng Wei Kwa. He's asking, what is the mentality of Taiwanese education institutions when it comes to adopting technologies?
Taiwan Education Institute already adopted the new technologies for some of the courses in this university. In Taiwan, if there's a class with one affected with COVID-19, the entire class has to be closed. And then we use this new technology to have the online education. So some of the university, if their students affected with COVID-19, then they already have this kind of online education program. And also for this large scale conference or seminar, we limited the number of attendants, participants. So we create that's an online learning participation options. And nowadays, there's this kind of large scale conference still have a lot of participants online. So it really depends. And some people argue about that, and how about this and the elementary school, or that's an junior high or senior high school. And for the time being, we don't have, we did not adopt this kind of new technology because we don't have a school lockdown. So students, they have a normal school life that we never use that. But we are considering if the situation getting worse, maybe this is the way we have to adapt.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Very interesting response coming from you. Now, I think we have come to the end of this session, but probably, sir, you may have anything, probably your last say for this session. What is that you would like to share? Because question that I posted to you, these are questions coming from us that we would like you to respond, and also from the viewers. But from your good self, sir, is there anything that you would like to add up, apart from what we have discussed, your last few words, for the viewers of this, APO Talk, program?
I think that all of us are affected by COVID-19 and economically also from our health part. And it is really a bitter time for all of us. But I believe that if we can engage the good COVID-19 prevention methods and try our best to transform our economic development, we still can pass this kind of crisis together. And I would like to once more emphasize that the global health needs everybody's efforts. So we have to try our best to contain COVID-19 hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart. And if we try to have a very good this kind of global solidarities, then we can contain this COVID-19 better, and also we become friends, become family.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. It has been a very interesting, insightful session we had with you. We'd like to thank also viewers who have been following this session for the last 1 hour. I myself, I have to be honest, Dr. Chen, I learned a lot. Right, Malaysia is always looking, on how we can also learn from others. We believe, as you put it rightly, we all in a big family. We should, live together. We should be sharing. We should stand united, solidarity together to ensure that whatever challenges that we are facing, especially within the APO fraternity, will be able to overcome, effectively. So once again, sir, I would like to thank you on behalf of the APO, organizing party here. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your thoughts. We thank you for your ideas and also some of your interesting insights throughout this 1 hour session. So I wish you a good day, sir. I look forward to meet you in person one of these days, especially when the movement restriction, has been relaxed and, borders of countries are also being lifted. So thank you everyone again. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and also stay productive. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.